Hello. I always start Facebook Lives off like that. Hello. I need to find a better thing to do. So, hello, welcome. Happy Friday. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it's Friday. I've got crazy hair going on today. I was curling it different and I didn't really know what was going on. So, I apologize. I might be monkeying around with it or looking at it while I'm watching my own Facebook Live. It's weird. So I'm so glad to be here. I haven't been here for the last couple weeks because I was on vacation last week and I was in the most amazing place in the whole wide world, and I think everybody should go there. And I was in Aruba with my three best friends, and we had the most amazing time. And I really wanted to do a Facebook Live from there, but the Wi-Fi wasn't fantastic, and I kind of was like, I think I need a break from everything. So I didn't do it. I wish that I could show everybody the images of the beach because it was really the most amazing beach I'd ever been on. It was so amazing. I just keep saying that. Let's see. We are going to talk about stress in EMS today and how it relates to our weight. If you are watching live, say hello to me, give me a little thumbs up, ask me any questions. And if you're watching the replay, welcome, hello. Type in any questions that you have in there because I do get alerts to let me know if anybody has made any comments, and I would love to interact with you. I am on social media at HEMS Coach in all sorts of different places, and I would love to interact with you. I also have a private Facebook group that I would love for you to join. I'm still trying to figure out how to best navigate the group while, trying to be a full-time flight paramedic, part-time life and weight loss coach, and doing all sorts of things with my family. So it's not perfect, but I'm doing the best that I can. Let's see. I also have a website, and it would be awesome if you would go check it out. Let me know what you think. Join my email list. I send about a weekly email, just kind of let y'all know what's going on. And I also have some fantastic news. If you guys are fans of the HEMS industry and you love the education that you're getting from people at FlightBridge Ed, I am extremely honored to be a speaker at the upcoming FAST 20 conference in the middle of May. I am going to be talking about self-care, weight loss in the EMS HEMS industry, and I'm super excited and I'm super terrified. So that's why I've been doing these Facebook Lives, getting a little bit more practice on how to be better at my public speaking. So let's dive in. I want to talk about stress in EMS. You're going to have a hard time losing weight, right, if we don't manage our stress. If you're dialed into your eating protocol, and I've talked a lot about how to eat really well and kind of what I recommend for eating to help us lose weight. If we're not dealing with our stress, we are not going to be able to lose weight. Same goes if you work out a lot and you're hitting the gym and you're trying to tone up your body, you might not see the results that you want because of stress. So we can overeat our way to an overweight body. We can under-exercise our way to an overweight body, but not underweight, overweight body. And we can overstress ourselves to an overweight body. Now listen, some people aren't going to gain weight even when they're stressed or even if they overeat, and they're the lucky people, okay? But just because you're thin on the outside doesn't mean you're not fat on the inside, right? Fatty liver, extra fat around your other organs, right? That is not any good either. So a big contributor to that is stress. So what I'm saying is, even if you're not overweight on the outside, doesn't mean that learning about how to manage your stress isn't important and that this topic isn't for you. So if you're in EMS, right, We all know and are very familiar with what the stress response system is and what a valuable tool it is in our life and how it has evolved mankind, keeping us safe, right? But our primitive brain hasn't caught up with the year 2020. And back in the day when we would get stressed out by predators, okay, today it's our jobs, it's our family, social media, and whatnot. So cortisol is the main hormone that is released in the stress response, okay? And it's secreted by the adrenal glands. What happens when your cortisol levels are high? Well, you gain weight, we're more tired, fatigued, we're more prone to infections, we've got kind of brain fog, we have high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. Now, I don't really have to explain to you if you're in EMS or HEMS what the stress response system looks like, right? We release cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine. We know all those body effects that happen during a stress response. But what we might not realize is how it negatively affects our body, especially when we have chronic stress. So, part of the stress response is we get a high surge in glucose, right? That's because our brain needs much more glucose than just normal functioning. We need to become more hyper aware. We need to be more thinking. We need to be more acutely aware of our surroundings. And when we have this increase in glucose, we also have increased insulin, and our gut shuts down because we don't need to be digesting our food right? When we're stressed out, when we're like running from a tiger. But, right, like I said, the primitive brain doesn't know that we're probably only stressed out because we just got a nasty email from somebody or we're in a little bit of an argument with one of our family members. So, this is why the problem with chronic stress, right? So, we have all these different things that happen in our body. And when we are chronically stressed, one of the biggest problems is that our insulin is constantly elevated. And when our insulin is constantly elevated, we cannot lose weight. So if you think about it, every time that you're stressed and say at work and you're eating, your body is not able to digest and to shift the energy that it's taken in into the appropriate places. And what happens is we become very insulin resistant. And this is why it's so hard for many of us to lose weight. So we know that what the stress response is, and then you think about our job in EMS and like that is stress, right? There are so many different aspects of stress in our EMS world. It's crazy to even stop and think about. So it's no wonder so many of us suffer with so many things with our physical, emotional, and our mental health. Okay, so the things that we see in EMS, they are not normal. I don't have to tell any of you that, right? But we see the sickest of the sick. We see things that we don't even bring into hospitals that doctors and nurses and stuff don't even see because the people don't even make it to the hospital, right? We have no idea how to handle this. We are not taught as young adults how to manage these stressful situations. Another thing that is really stressful in our industry that a lot of people don't talk about is this idea that we have to call deaths on scene, or if a child dies, we might have to tell family members that their child has died and we're not transporting to the hospital. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't learn how to do that. I didn't learn how to tell people that, and I certainly didn't know how to handle my emotions because of it. This causes us a tremendous amount of stress. Our home and work life schedule is also very stressful. Many of us do rotating day, nights, weekends, shifts, right? I call it irregularly irregular. I know, funny, right? So this effect that our schedule has on us can be very stressful because we're trying to balance what our spouse does, what our other family members do, living in this day versus night life. Okay, that's really stressful. And trying to get it all balanced is very difficult. This also contributes to our sleep problem or lack of sleep, which is a huge stressor for our industry. Obviously, I talk about it a lot. I want to really open up the conversation and the solutions for sleeping in our industry. And I'm going to just keep talking about it forever because it also really has a huge effect on our weight. Some other things that are stressful in our EMS world are the dynamics of our work environment and the pressure to perform at the highest level. Our environment is also super stressful and we have no control over it, right? So a lot of us work in environments that change from day to day, sometimes hour to hour. We can work when it's really hot. It could be humid, it could be dry, it could be cold, sub-zero temperatures, right? And that's just a normal day in the fall in Wisconsin, right? These huge temperature extremes, very stressful on our body. Those of us that work in the air medical industry, we have other factors that we need to contend with. Some of them are altitude, pressure, noise, vibration, night operations, even using goggles or not using goggles, and then landing in kind of unsecured landing zones. Obviously, somebody set it up, but it's not our normal helipad landing zone. That causes us additional stress, right? And then we get out in these really stressful situations. If we're landing, on the interstate and taking care of trauma patients, right? There's so much that's going on. And so our body just accumulates all of this stress and doesn't know how to process these hormones that are now in our body because, again, we don't know how to process all of that. So it's no wonder, like I said, that our industry suffers with physical, emotional, and mental well-being problems, right? And so this is what I've decided is that our own well-being needs to become our own priority one, right? We are our own emergency all of a sudden because we're not taking care of ourselves. This is interesting. So the World Health Organization has declared stress the #1 health epidemic of the 21st century. That's how important stress is. So what most of us do, because we haven't been taught how to manage our emotions or to process stress in a way that seems relevant to us, especially in our industry, is we use food and alcohol as a way to cope with the stress. This is not a good idea. It feels good in the moment, but what we're really doing is we're putting like a Band-Aid on a gaping arterial bleeder. I mean, seriously, think about that. Like, just eating food and alcohol is not the solution. So what we learn and our brain starts to become really efficient at, remember I've talked about the primitive brain, has the motivational triad. And so it is after 3 things. It wants to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and be really efficient at seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. So when we have a really stressful day and we come home and we think that the solution is to have a beer, have some snacks, overeat, right? Then our brain is like, oh, that feels good in the moment. So then it becomes this negative feedback loop, okay? So you feel stressed, you overdrink, maybe you overeat, and then every single time you feel stressed, your brain is going to automatically want to do those things. And the more time we do that, the more weight we'll gain on the outside or the inside. Pardon me. The more we do that, the more lack of sleep we'll get, the more stressed we'll feel, the more we will be chronically stressed, have elevated cortisol. The more our insulin is elevated, we become insulin resistant. We gain more weight. We feel more stressed. We try to use food and alcohol to cope, right? Can you see this like total negative feedback loop? So we have to learn how to recognize our stress and then what we are going to do about it. So I have some ideas on what I think the solution should be. And I've talked about some of these before too. And I also want to say, we don't have a lack of knowledge. We all know what to eat. We all know what we should be doing. The problem is we have an application problem. So I might be able to explain these things in a way that maybe you never heard before, or maybe it makes more sense, or maybe you trust that I know what I'm talking about because I've actually lived through it. Now, don't hear me say that I do it perfectly because I don't. I'm a human and I F things up all the time. But here's what the difference for me now is that I don't quit on myself and I do not give up on myself, even when I'm messing it up. So these, oh, and I wanted to, I have on here my note here. My favorite quote is, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Does that make sense, right? Don't let things being perfect be the enemy of what is good enough. Because even if you choose to do one of these things on the list, that can help your stress. So the first one is sleep. I'm going to talk about this, you guys, forever and always. Sleep. We need to protect and prioritize our sleep. You need to improve your sleep hygiene, right? And you need to make it a total priority. I did a Facebook Live. It was like 48 minutes long where I talk about all the things about sleep. So important, you guys. You've got to get this whole sleep thing figured out. I'm just moving my notes over because I think I can talk about all these without looking at my notes. So sorry. Still figuring out Facebook Live. It's always an adventure. So back to sleep. You need to get to sleep. You need to make it a priority. I hear people say this all the time, and I literally want to shake them. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yeah, you will die sooner if you don't get back to sleep. Go to sleep. You need it. Go watch my Facebook Live on sleep. I have a lot to say about it. Okay, movement. Now, you don't have to be, working up a huge sweat or anything like that, but you do need to be moving your body. A study shows that even 11 to 15 minutes of walking, just regular walking outside every day, significantly reduces stress. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's snow outside. It's raining out, it's crappy out. I don't want to go outside. Who cares? Do it anyways. You need it. Your brain needs it. You need that time. And I will even challenge you, and this is something I'm working on for myself, is to go out for these walks without your phone. Don't have earbuds in. Don't be listening to something. Our society does not know how to be bored. We do not know how to do downtime. It is one of the things that is so good for our brain to have those moments where we're not getting in all that input. We are in a society filled with constant input. We're learning, consuming all the time, but what we don't have is a lot of output. And we need this balance. So have you ever noticed that you come up with brilliant ideas when you're in the shower? Do you want to know why that is? It is because of a mechanism in our brain. When we're not taking in input, our brain actually has moments to solve our own problems. Think about all the questions you ask yourself every single day. Your brain, by the way, is always trying to answer those questions. But if you don't ever quiet down and have time to come up with those own answers, you're not ever going to answer them. So think about that. So the movement, you got to get out there. You got to find something to do. Now, I didn't have it on here. One of the things that I discovered that was amazing for me was doing a hot yoga practice. Now, in the beginning, it was really hard, and I just wanted to not die when I was in the class because it's 90 degrees in there, and you're moving your body at a relatively quick pace. But after a while, you get acclimated to the temperature, and I will say that's a huge benefit. If you sweat a lot and you don't want to sweat so much, start doing hot exercise and your body totally gets acclimated. Now in the summer, I could be doing CPR on the back of that helicopter and I'll be lucky to have like a little tiny drop of sweat come down. It's amazing. It's nice not to be a sweaty mess at work, be all smelly. So I really found a tremendous benefit, both physically and mentally, going to yoga because I was so focused on just breathing and doing the poses. My brain wasn't thinking about the crappy call that I had the night before or an argument with a coworker or an email that got me all jazzed up, right? I'm able to just be in the moment, and the brain really loves that. And it's very relaxing for the brain. Okay, the other thing, hang on, I got to take a quick sip of water. The other thing that you can do to help reduce stress. And I think I talked about this on another Facebook Live about journaling, getting all those thoughts, right? We have 60,000 thoughts per day going on in our head. And just the act of getting them out on a piece of paper is very beneficial. So then you're not constantly ruminating on it. And that's a really good way to notice all the thoughts that you're having all the time. Now, as a coach, I really work a lot with the thoughts that we think and how it creates emotion. And then that emotion drives our action, right? Those are things I do as a coach. But just for people who I don't work with, I really suggest you do some journaling. And listen, it doesn't have to be like a beautifully written story. Just, I call it a thought download. You just take all the thoughts in your head and you put them down on paper. You don't worry about punctuation. You don't worry about your handwriting. You don't worry about any of that. You could write it on a Post-it note for all I care. Like, just get it out on paper. Easy. Okay, relax. Do you want to just laugh and like give me the finger when I tell you to relax if you're stressed out? Duh. But how, right? How do we do that? We live in this crazy environment where it's stress, environmental stress, lifestyle stress coming at us all the time. How am I supposed to relax? Well, you use that little device. Use your phone. There's a million apps. I like Insight Timer and what's the other one? Calm. There they have like over 1 million, and I'm serious, 1 million guided meditations, just even quiet music that can get your brain to rest. I really think you could do that. You could put your earbuds in. You could be sitting in the, you could be posting in the ambulance and sitting there waiting for your call and having earbuds in and just listening to a calm guided meditation, just relaxing. Learning some breathing techniques is super beneficial. I know it sounds super cheesy, super woo-woo-y, weird, but when we focus on our breathing, and a thing I like to do is called boxed breathing. So you inhale for 2 seconds, hold for 2 seconds, exhale for 2 seconds, and then hold, right? So you're kind of creating a box. What this does when we're stressed out is it totally reduces our heart rate. It reduces blood pressure. It actually slows our respiratory rate down. I do this for myself when I'm starting to feel myself get kind of jacked up on, an intense call. I can just feel that adrenaline and cortisol in my body, right? And I need to calm it down, because when we're in that state, that fight or flight state, right, our prefrontal cortex completely shuts down, and we're living kind of on autopilot with our primitive brain, which is, we don't always make the best decisions. So a good practitioner is able to notice that they're getting a little out of control internally, and you can slow that down very quickly by slowing your breathing down. I'm serious. This is brilliant. And it's actually really good for patients that are experiencing pain, just verbally coaching them to like slow their breathing down. It's amazing how much it can relax you. So meditation and breathing are great ways to relax. Even getting a massage is fairly relaxing for a lot of people. And there's some receptors that we have, nerve receptors on our shoulders and our back, that when it's stimulated, we release oxytocin, which is like the cuddle hormone, which makes us feel good. And that also relaxes us, and that dramatically reduces our cortisol as well. Okay, the other thing, have fun. Find something that you love to do, or reignite a hobby that you used to have. Or try something new. Maybe try spinning class. Maybe you used to like to bike as a kid, and now you're like, I can't go biking, it's winter. You can do a spinning class. That would be something fun. There's a million things that you can learn how to do, and it gives your brain something to focus on, and it's very relaxing. And learning a new hobby or technique or something also reduces our cortisol levels. So try something new. Try something fun. Maybe do a Facebook Live. You could just do one. It would be super fun. I'd watch it. Okay, high quality whole food. Now, the food we eat, of course, is very important. I really recommend that we try and stay away from refined carbohydrates like sugar and flour. Now, you don't have to be completely off of all of that, but taking a break would be a really good eye opener, because what we don't realize is how that food affects us and how it perpetuates all these other things, all these complicated things that are going on in our body, especially those of us that work in EMS. We've got all the stress, we've got all these things, right? So we need to really focus on having high quality whole foods. Things that are processed, you should stay away from. Take a break from some alcohol. You guys, alcohol, I like drinking, but I don't do it nearly as much anymore because it really disrupts our sleep, which increases our stress, which increases our glucose, which increases our insulin, which makes us more insulin resistant, which means we can't burn fat, which is the ultimate goal, right? So the food we eat matters. Now, I talk about 3 things when you're trying to decide what you're going to eat. And by the way, as a coach, I will never, ever, ever tell you what to eat because I have no idea what you should eat. Only you know what you should eat, right? But I have a little guideline, is that you should eat food that feels good in your body. Turns out I used to eat oatmeal all the time, made my body feel like crap. Guess what I don't eat anymore? Oatmeal. I don't care what the American Heart Association says that it's good for me. I don't care. It doesn't feel good in my body. I'm not eating it anymore. So it has to feel good in your body. It needs to provide nutrients, macro and micronutrients. Okay. It needs to be healthy. And does it get you the results that you want? So you might like sugar, you might like the taste of sugar, and depending on what it's in, it might provide you with some nutrients. But if it's not getting you the result, i.e. the weight loss that you want, it might be time to take a break or to stop eating it. Another thing I used to eat all the time that I was convinced was good for me was yogurt. Yogurt is not good for me. I don't like yogurt, but I was eating it because I thought I needed the probiotics. Turns out you can just buy a little pill and then you get more of the probiotics that you actually need that are better for your gut. So think about that when deciding the food you should eat. And on the note about food, remember that usually the biggest reason why we're overweight is because we're overeating. We eat too much food. We eat more food than our body requires for fuel. So make sure that you're not overeating. We have to learn how to listen to our body's signals and stop eating when you feel satisfied, not full, not like, whew, I'm really full. Not like that. Not like, oh, I just ate and I could maybe go for a little brisk walk or a jog. Okay. That's the kind of satisfied I'm talking about, not lean back full. Water. When you're dehydrated, I bet you didn't know this. When you're dehydrated, that's stressful for your body. Guess what? Cortisol goes up. What have we been talking about the cortisol? When your cortisol goes up, what else goes up? Your glucose. Insulin goes up. Can't burn fat. You have to drink water. 80 to 128 ounces per day. I know what you're thinking. I don't want to have to go to the bathroom. Who cares? Go to the bathroom. So you have to go to the bathroom every hour. Isn't that worth maybe getting to your goal weight? We think it's such a huge inconvenience. It's really not a big deal. You just go to the bathroom. I don't, this is one that always baffles me with people. You got to drink water. I think you just should drink plain water, but if you need that little flavoring or whatever, put an orange slice in there or a cucumber or something like that. I think that would be better. Drink water every single day. Your body totally needs it to function properly. Oh, this is a new one that I have discovered. Tech-free eating. What does that mean? It means no devices while you're eating. Here's why. There's lots of reasons why, but the big 2 are it's stressful to be reading stuff while we're eating. Stressful to read the news. Nobody has a lot of good things to say. We go on social media, we start comparing ourselves and we feel inadequate and we're jealous of what other people are doing. Or maybe that's just me. But it causes a stress response, right? What I've just been talking about. It matters. It matters, you guys. So when you're on your phone, it stresses you out. When you're on your phone, you're also not interacting with other humans, which as humans, we have evolved to be social creatures. We need social interaction. So you need to ditch social media while you're eating and interact with your people, with your family, with your coworkers, with whomever, or by yourself. Having downtime, having time where your brain's not thinking, you're just watching people and letting your brain think about other things and not be stressed. And when we are on our phones and we're eating, we are not paying attention to our hormones and our body signals. So when we feel satisfied, that is because of the hormone leptin. And leptin is secreted by our fat cells, and it lets the body know, it sends a signal to the hypothalamus, and it lets it know that we've had enough, stop eating. But if you're on your phone and you're distracted and you're stressed out, guess what you're going to do? You're going to overeat. You're not even going to hear it. You're just going to completely ignore it. And most of us have learned to eat until the food is completely gone, right? Clean plate club. That's not good, you guys. We have to learn to listen to our body. You need to stop eating when you feel satisfied. And the easiest way to learn how to do that without some BS gimmicks out there and weird portion control thingamajiggers, like that's putting the your results on something outside of you. All the answers you need are inside of you. So you need to put your phone away. You need to talk to the humans, and you need to listen to your body tell you when it's time to stop eating. Then we need to do this one down here. This one was a big one for me. I loved, past tense, crime TV dramas. I mean, my brain thought I was an FBI agent for sure. I mean, I was solving crimes all the time. NCIS, all of those shows. Oh my gosh, loved all of them. Made me afraid of my own shadow and constantly afraid, thinking somebody's going to break in, murder me, chop me up into pieces, and put me in the local dumpster. I mean, what kind of a life is that? So although it seems like you're just tuning out and like you're not paying any attention, it's causing a stress response in your body. And it's not getting you the results that you want. It's taking time away from other things that you should be doing, like moving your body and sleeping and interacting with humans and doing fun things and relaxing. Okay, so do an environmental detox. Now, I'm not saying you have to take away all TV, but I really told myself the truth about how much television I was watching. And I was like, no wonder I don't get anything done. No wonder I'm stressed and frustrated with everybody around me because they're interrupting me while I'm trying to solve the murder here. So there's environmental diet. Maybe you also need to check your social media feed and clean that up. Got people on there that make you mad that you don't like looking at their stuff, and then don't do that. Ignore them, hide from them on social media, right? Like unfollow them, unfriend them, do all the things. I have a completely beautifully curated Instagram feed. It's all things that I want to see by people I have chosen to follow. So when I look at it, I feel inspired. I feel like this is amazing. Life is awesome. I can't wait to interact with these people or meet them in person or something. I don't look at my news feed and get all mad and frustrated and feel like I need to say stuff. I mean, it's just, I don't need that kind of stress in my life. You guys, our lives are so stressful anyways, and we're not doing anything. Can you see how like all this cumulative compounded stress, how negatively it affects our bodies? So we need to do these things in order to reduce our stress. Now, I would love it if you would try to do lots of them, but just try one. Just commit to 7 days. Ooh, all right, 7 days of doing just one of them. And then if you think that that one went well, see if you can add another one, or do a Google search and ask, how do I reduce my stress? You'll find a million different websites and recommendations, and you have to figure out what works for you. That's what I did. That's how I made the commitment, right? I found podcasts that are helpful. I'll put a link in the notes, or I'll write a comment on some of the top podcasts that I like to listen to that are inspiring and give good information, and where I get a lot of my insights on things I want to talk about. So just try it for 7 days. That's it. I'm also reading this new book. It's called The Stress Solution. I can't think of the author's name. I'm almost positive it's The Stress Solution. It's by a physician in, I think he's from London. I'll try and put a link. It's a fantastic book. He talks about this tech-free eating. And it's so amazing. So that's all I have for you. I hope that you found this slightly helpful and maybe a little bit comical, because I'm kind of a goofball sometimes, but I really want you to stop and think about your life. And if you need improvement in certain areas of your life, I think a lot of it comes down to stress and how we're managing our stress, because it affects every part of us. Right. And then sometimes we don't show up as the person that we want to be to everybody around us, and it's because of our stress. Now, what I didn't really talk much about here is the mindfulness or the thought management when it comes to stress. And I will do that another time. I would like to only kind of talk about that at one time. This, I wanted to give you some tips and some things that you can just start doing right away. And then moving into a more mindfulness and thought management is a little bit next level. So if you have any questions, I would love for you to ask them to me. You can send me a direct message. I'm pretty good at getting back to people on messages. Sometimes, I still work full time. So you work this job, you know what it's like. Sometimes you can be on your phone checking stuff all the time, and other times you're like, oh my God, I haven't even looked at it for 3 days. So that's all I have for you. Have a beautiful weekend. I am going to be in St. Paul, Minnesota at a curling bonspiel. It's going to be amazing. All right, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.